Why was Mortal Kombat 2 delayed? Will we get a new Sub-Zero in MK2? When is the next trailer coming out? Director Todd Garner revealed all of that, and much more. Check this out. Mortal Kombat 2 was announced in 2022, and production officially began the following year. From that very first announcement, the movie immediately landed on the list of the most anticipated projects among fans of the franchise, especially because Mortal Kombat carries massive historical weight in the gaming world and has always struggled to truly establish itself in cinema. This second film started to be seen as a real opportunity to solidify the saga on the big screen. Originally scheduled for October 2025, the film ended up being delayed, and its new release date is now set for May 8, 2026. That delay raised a lot of eyebrows, mainly because it wasn't a small one. We're talking about a shift of more than 6 months, which naturally sparked doubts, speculation, and even theories about possible internal issues, something that always puts fans on high alert. And here's an important detail. It has already been confirmed that a third movie is in development. In other words, even before the second film hits theaters, the studio is already confident enough to plan a direct continuation. That kind of move only happens when there's real confidence in the project's commercial potential and strong audience interest. The thing is, so far, only one official trailer has been released, along with a few posters and behind-the-scenes images. For a movie of this scale, that's considered very little promotional material, especially in an era where trailers, teasers, and clips are often released almost weekly to keep hype at its peak. But for fans, that hasn't been enough. Just look at the comments on social media and you'll see the growing impatience, with many fans questioning whether the studio is truly confident in the project or simply holding back information for strategic reasons. Because of that, a lot of people started messaging the film's director, Todd Garner. Garner, who's very active on social media, ended up becoming the main point of contact between the production and the audience, receiving questions, pressure, and expectations almost daily. And here's the interesting part. Todd decided to answer several questions all at once on X, revealing secrets, updates, and even things no one was expecting. What really caught attention was the fact that these answers didn't come from official interviews or events, but directly from conversations with fans, giving the revelations a much more spontaneous feel. The first case came from an X user who asked him, "What's your prediction for how many views the second MK2 trailer will get when it drops?" That question perfectly reflects the level of anticipation surrounding the film, treating the trailer's release almost like a global event. Todd's response was simple: "We hope it's as many as before." A short but extremely confident answer, showing that the production is well aware of the impact Mortal Kombat still has on audiences. And honestly, the hype for this new film really is huge, both among fans and within the studio itself. And that hype isn't just blind excitement, it's backed by real numbers and the franchise's recent track record. That's because the first film, in 2021, shattered major records. At the time, due to the pandemic, Mortal Kombat was released on HBO Max, and its debut was shocking. Even with theaters closed and an extremely unfavorable environment for major releases, the movie managed to stand out in a surprising way. Mortal Kombat 2021 broke records on HBO Max, reaching 3.8 million US households in its first 3 days, opening weekend, becoming the biggest HBO Max premiere of 2021. It even outperformed Godzilla vs. Kong and Zack Snyder's Justice League. Those numbers put Mortal Kombat in an unexpected position, proving that the franchise still has massive appeal when it's marketed properly. Because of that, expectations for the second movie are extremely high. Audiences aren't just expecting another film, they're expecting a clear evolution in scale, story, and faithfulness to the games. The first, and so far only, trailer, released in July 2025, also broke records. It reached 106.7 million views worldwide in its first 24 hours, becoming the biggest trailer launch ever for an R-rated film. That achievement further reinforced the idea that Mortal Kombat 2 isn't just highly anticipated, it's being closely watched by the entire industry. So, with all of this in mind, it's easy to understand why the director expects similarly massive numbers once the second trailer drops. Todd Garner isn't just being optimistic, he's relying on concrete data and the franchise's recent track record. But this is where the big question comes in. The question fans have been asking for months. The first trailer was released over 6 months ago, and since then, we haven't gotten any new trailer at all. That's a very long gap for a movie that's already in the final stretch of its marketing campaign. The film premieres in May, and fans' desire to see more keeps growing. Every week without news only increases the anxiety and pressure on the production. Because of that, one X-user commented that they believe the second trailer will be released in April. That guess makes sense within traditional movie marketing logic, since April would be the last full month before release, an ideal window for a final or more revealing trailer. And to everyone's surprise and excitement, Todd Garner simply replied, "Before." Just one word, but it was enough to completely shake the community and reignite the hype within minutes. In other words, we will get a new Mortal Kombat 2 trailer before April. That pretty much confirms that the movie's heavy marketing push is about to begin. So whether it's February or March, this new trailer's coming, and we're getting closer to seeing brand new footage. And when it comes to Mortal Kombat, new footage means new characters, new fights, and possible hints about the story, which makes total sense. After all, we're only 4 months away from the official release, and the first trailer came out a long time ago. Even though fans have kept the hype alive, the studio needs to push things further, and trailers are one of the most effective ways to do that. Without new trailers, there's a real risk that casual audience interest could cool off, something the studio definitely wants to avoid. In fact, one X-user expressed that exact concern, saying, "Cool, I'm a little worried though. There hasn't been much marketing for this movie. A few photos here, some behind-the-scenes stuff there, and one trailer. Nothing major." That comment perfectly reflects how a large portion of the fan base feels, especially those who've been following the project since its initial announcement. Todd Garner quickly replied, "It's coming," once again reinforcing the idea that the next trailer may be closer than we think. Todd has been repeating this message specifically to calm people down and show that there is a marketing plan in motion. And this concern is completely valid. When the movie, originally set for October 2025, was delayed by more than 6 months, fans became uneasy, especially because the real reason for the delay wasn't immediately explained. The lack of an official explanation ended up fueling unnecessary theories and speculation. Months later, Todd Garner hinted on X that the delay was a market-driven decision, believing the movie would have more potential with a May release. In other words, it wasn't a creative or technical issue, it was a strategic move. In that post, he reshared a news article about a movie that flopped at the box office after being released in the same month Mortal Kombat 2 was originally scheduled for. Todd added the comment, "October is tough." That made it clear the studio wanted to avoid heavy competition and chose a more favorable release window. So, realistically, what we can take from this is that the movie was delayed to achieve better box office performance, a decision that, when you look at the market objectively, makes complete sense. Now, continuing with Todd Garner's interactions on his profile, another user commented, "I hope this longer wait for the movie is worth it. I'm also really excited to see Adeline Rudolph as Katana on the big screen." Here we see a mix of excitement and pressure, something very common when it comes to highly anticipated adaptations. Todd's response was simply, "Okay," a short, cold reply that stood out precisely because it broke away from the more approachable tone he had been using. It's hard to say whether he took the comment the wrong way, maybe interpreting it as distrust or a subtle jab at his work, or if it was simply a moment of exhaustion after dealing with constant pressure and expectations. And honestly, the fans' concern is understandable. Even though Mortal Kombat 2021 was considered a success by the studio, it still received a lot of negative feedback, especially from longtime fans of the franchise. There were many recurring criticisms: a shallow story, the creation of the character Cole Young, and the underuse of characters like Melina, Reiko, and even Goro, iconic figures that many believe deserved much better development. I also see it this way. The movie is a solid action film with cool scenes and strong moments, but if you really know the lore of the games, it feels like an insane amount of potential was wasted. Especially when it comes to the script. Mortal Kombat has a rich universe that goes far beyond just the fights. But there's one important thing to consider. Todd Garner is the director, not the writer. And that makes a huge difference when evaluating his work. Looking at it from that perspective, he actually delivered a very solid job because visually, the movie works really well. The character designs, the environments, and the fight scenes all look good. In that regard, the film definitely delivers on what it promises. And based on the first Mortal Kombat 2 trailer, along with the alleged leaks, it really seems like a lot has improved for the sequel. both in terms of scale and faithfulness to the source material. So yes, I do believe MK2 will be better than the first movie. Everything points to the production being aware of the criticism and ready to deliver something bigger. Moving on, another X-user asked, "Do we have any MK2 news coming?" A simple but extremely direct question that perfectly reflects the overall mood right now. The need for something new. Anything that shows the movie is alive and moving forward. Todd Garner replied, "Yes, the next surprise will not be a trailer, promotional art, or a behind-the-scenes video, but it will be very cool." That response was enough to completely spark fans' curiosity, precisely because it ruled out the most obvious options and opened the door to something totally unexpected. And that immediately triggered speculation. Forums, comment sections, and Mortal Kombat-focused accounts quickly started throwing around theories about what this mysterious surprise could be. So it's very likely that a big surprise is coming in the next few days, and the fact that Todd didn't give any specific time frame only made the community's anxiety grow even more. And there are two really cool possibilities for what this could be. One of them is the reveal of one of the fight arenas from the new movie. According to the leaks, we'll be getting classic battle stages, and one of them is the Pit, the most famous and beloved arena among fans of the franchise. It's known for being an interactive stage where you could finish your opponent by hitting an uppercut and throwing them down to the level below, where they die impaled on spikes. The Pit is basically a symbol of Mortal Kombat, and its presence in the movie would be a clear nod to longtime fans, showing respect for the game's history. Or, even better, this reveal could be a character no one is expecting but everyone wants. And when it comes to Mortal Kombat, the list of desired characters is massive. Now check this out. In a post from January 23, 2026, a user commented on an image showing several characters from the new movie and said, "No Sub-Zero, no ticket," meaning that if Mortal Kombat 2 doesn't have Sub-Zero, they're not even watching it. It's an exaggerated statement, but it perfectly translates the weight that this character carries within the franchise, something many fans agree with deep down, even if they don't say it so bluntly. However, to everyone's surprise, Todd Garner replied saying that the image was just fan art, not official artwork, which many took as him practically confirming that Sub-Zero will be in the movie. That response was interpreted by a lot of people as an indirect confirmation, since he made a point of separating unofficial material from what will actually appear in the film. But here's the thing. Sub-Zero was killed in the first movie by Scorpion, and it has already been confirmed that, just like in the games, he will be reborn in the Netherrealm and transformed into Noob Saibot, which stays completely faithful to the franchise's classic lore. So how could you have Sub-Zero in Mortal Kombat 2? That's the question that immediately comes to mind for any more attentive fan. The answer is simple. In the games, the original Sub-Zero has a brother named Liu Kang, an important piece of the mythology that many people who only know the movies might not be aware of. When the first Sub-Zero is killed, Liu Kang, who also has cryogenic powers, takes on his brother's mantle and becomes the new Sub-Zero, keeping the character's legacy alive within the story. So it's fair to speculate that this big reveal Todd Garner is teasing could be the introduction of a new Sub-Zero. That would be a smart move because it respects the events of the first movie while still delivering a character who's extremely beloved by the audience. It would be amazing, right? I think it's somewhat unlikely, but not impossible. And just the possibility alone is enough to keep fans paying close attention to every new reveal. Now, continuing with the conversations on X, one user pointed out that Mortal Kombat 2 doesn't seem to be getting much marketing, which worries them because they're afraid the producers might be getting complacent. That comment is important because it doesn't come off as an attack, but as a warning from someone who genuinely wants to see the movie succeed. Todd replied by saying that all of that promotion is coming. Once again, he reinforced the idea that there is a plan in place and that the current silence is only temporary. So we're likely about to enter a phase with a lot of Mortal Kombat 2 promotional material, a period where trailers, artwork, clips, and reveals should start appearing much more frequently. And that makes sense, especially when we look at the film's recent marketing history. Think about it. We only got the first MK2 trailer in July 2025, because the movie was originally scheduled to release in October of that same year. In other words, the first trailer dropped when there were only 3 months left until release. That shows the initial strategy was always to focus marketing closer to the premiere. If Mortal Kombat 2 had been planned from the start to release in May 2026, just like it is now, we most likely wouldn't even have a trailer yet. Following that same 3-month marketing logic, the first trailer would probably only be released in February 2026. In other words, the audience ended up getting this first trailer ahead of schedule because of the release date change. Since the premiere was pushed back, the producers started sharing smaller pieces of content, like new posters and behind-the-scenes photos, just to give fans something to hold on to, a way to keep interest alive without dropping major material too early. We even got the reveal of Quan Chi through a behind-the-scenes photo posted on Todd Garner's profile. That alone was enough to spark discussions and theories among fans. And on his profile, he's revealed things like this before, such as Shao Kahn's hammer even before the first trailer dropped, as well as a photo of Katana's fans. Small details that act as clues for what's coming and help keep the audience engaged. The thing is, now that it's February, the movie's promotion is about to come back in full force, and we should start getting news almost every week, which is great. If that holds true, Mortal Kombat 2 should finally enter the radar of the general audience, not just the most dedicated fans.